The Yellow Rose of Texas welcomes you to the RNR Does Stuff podcast. Yeehaw.
Everyone, welcome back to R&R Does Stuff, the retro light show, communication show, energy show, fast, great, moving too quick and never stopping to finish our projects, but adding more projects. R&R Does Stuff. Ryan, how are you doing?
I am wonderful. I definitely feel that. It seems, we've talked about it. Projects appear just magically, and I don't know that we're ever going to finish them all, but we're going to have fun doing what we do. And I love it.
That's a great way to put it, bud. That is a great way to put it. I tell you, projects, I guess the reason I was so excited in this kickoff about projects and working on them and being fast, I finally got some stuff done in a timely fashion. I just had a really good little week or so of things going on. The SX64, I have updates from my last round of testing. Again, anybody that wants to see, go to High Shelf Rich at YouTube, and you can see some of this. The sound was out, Ryan. I reported to everybody. That was the last thing. I got stuff tore apart. I got the thing. I got the chip off the board. And Ryan, you'd be so proud of me. I was so gentle and smooth, and it just came off like a champ. And it turned out the SID chip was bad.
I saw that.
Did you see it?
Video. I watched your video, and spoiler a little bit, I watched when you dropped it.
I know. Yeah, that's the next part of the conversation. Yeah, so I took that bad one out, bro. Got out my retro chip tester, put it in, failed. And remember the Salvation Army 64 with that crazy board that was doing incorrect voltages, had that goop stuff all over it. And I basically harvested all the chips off. And that SID chip tested good. So I truly had a one-to-one easy replacement. I tested it again. I put it back in. I put everything back together. The sound still didn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So.
Don't know yet?
I don't know. I don't know. I actually asked people in the YouTube world. I said, leave comments below. Dude, is my speaker just bad that's inside the chassis? Is a wire not connected from the speaker to the boards and from the pot? Maybe there's something wrong with the pot for the volume up and down. I don't know. I told everybody on the episode, I'm sealing it back up, and I'm going to go move on to the keyboard testing, because even if I get sound to work with a cartridge, I need a keyboard, man. And so that's really what I'm going to do next. And that is on my list of the next thing that's coming up is I'm going to be taking the old Commodore 64 Salvation Army keyboard in case and making this Hakka cable to get it to work with the SX64. And then I'll come back to the audio problems. And then I'll deal with that after I have a successful keyboard, because I need to figure out if the drive works. If the drive doesn't work, then that's another reason to be inside there. So the keyboard's going to let me learn about the drive. I already know I have sound problems. Hopefully I don't have drive issues, but if I do, I'll deal with it then. So it was great. And you mentioned throwing my back out when I was rebuilding it. Everyone, dear listener, Ryan saw this. I'm moving it and kind of picking it up. It's a big rectangle box that weighs 20 pounds, right? 15 pounds. I don't know. It's heavy.
It's heavy. And
its handle is made to be like, chink, chink, chink into position. And you go chink, chink, chink back into position. And it moves freely until you press a certain button, and then it locks it. I didn't lock it. So it shimmied around on me, dropped out of my hand onto the bench. And I did everything in my power to catch it, which made me lean out in front of myself, turn my body in a weird angle. And I'm not going to say I threw my back out, but I kind of smarted it to where I really took it easy for 2 days and did not do anything strenuous, just so I could be back where I needed to be. My core strength is not good enough. But, dude, I saved the SX64. No new dents, no damage from that. I tested it all afterwards. But, it was great, dude. It was really fun. I can't wait this week to get back out and start on the keyboard.
Yeah, I want to see the working keyboard and have that functional. And then really, once you have a working keyboard, you're going to have a 64. Mm-hmm. It's just, we'll be able to save and load things off the disk.
It's just a Hakka. It's a Hakka SX64 is really what that's like. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. This is when after this, I think I might go to a show and buy a table, bro, because I have a few hacky projects that I can put on a table with a little bit of notes and let people see things. You know, the 810 flipper on my 1541.
Yes.
You know, some of the stuff I've done on my C64. So I'm excited. Dude, speaking of heavy stuff, you've got a lot of heavy stuff. SX64 is my biggest iron. You've got lots of big iron. How are your projects going?
Yeah, this one, luckily, from the stuff you've sent me so far, from our Craigslist find a couple episodes ago, I have dug into the 4000.
Oh,
Yes. So I've got the board out. Oh my God, is it dirty? I cleaned up all the what do you call these things? Mud daubers? These mud wasp things?
mud daubers, 100% what we call them in Texas.
All right. They're not a thing here in Virginia or Pennsylvania. I was asking some other people that I know too, and they're like, "What is that?" So that's not a thing on the East Coast here. But I got all the dirt off around that chip. I still don't know if it works or not. The power supply was dead. Whatever. It spun up once, gave me voltages that I wanted, and then quit doing that. And I'm like, yep, that's not happening. So I've ordered a ATX power supply that's not here yet, and a adapter that gives me ATX to the Amiga 4000.
Very cool.
So that's cool. So I've cleaned it. It's not like this layer of Texas dirt anymore. A lot of dirt came off of it. And it's looking a lot better. It's still yellowed. The plastic's yellowed. But it's all washed at this point. It's all cleaned. It looks, it's scratched, it's beat a little bit, but it's not bad. I mean, it's ready to go. So that's happening. I did actually also, let's see, it has a little rust mark on it. So I use Brasso, and Brasso is really good at taking the rust right off those cases. I'm not sure. I think you mentioned you used it before as well. Put a little bit on a paper towel, wrap it up, and it just comes right off, and that just gives me a metal look, but it's better than rust. It had 2 hard drives in it.
Ooh.
Weird. I've gotten both of them hooked up to a different machine or whatever. One of them was a 1.6 gig hard drive, which is definitely newer than the Amiga 4000. That didn't really exist. And it's got Windows on it.
What?
So, yeah, it's weird. Had a couple of errors. We had
Windows 3.11, Windows 95, Windows for workgroups, Windows NT. What are we doing?
I think it was like 95. I saw Windows NT directory. I'm like, I don't know. I just copied the stuff, and I'll deal with that later. So it's sitting over here. It had a couple of errors copying things, so I think there had some issues. I really think they were going to use this drive with the Amiga at some point, and they just never got there. And when I was looking around at the Amiga, underneath the floppy drive, there was another hard drive.
We didn't see that when we did our video.
I didn't see that when I had the video. It's a 545 meg hard drive. And the problem with some of these older drives is if they're below, I forget what size, but this one is too small, they don't support the LBA option of IDE. Which means if you have a USB to IDE adapter, it wants the LBA option of IDE or it can't find the disk, which is great, so I couldn't read it.
Wow.
So what I did is I pulled out an Amiga 4000 that I have that I know is working. I plugged this in with the compact flash adapter, made one master, one slave. This thing booted up. And it's I've copied all the files off of it at this point. Nothing major on there, and a couple games, but this guy's some software they used, and he was using it. You could see he had like a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of databases, and he was tracking everything from his CD collection, movie collection.
Oh my gosh.
What magazine subscriptions he had. Oh yeah. So that was kind of neat. Obviously I'm not sharing any of the personal information. Most of that's going to go away.
Oh yeah.
At some point, that's just going to get cleaned up and gone. But it was just interesting to see the applications and how he was using them, and how this was a computer. that he was actually using for more than just hobby stuff. It was,
That's neat. That really is like retro archaeology.
oh yeah, 100%. I can see how much he paid for it. He had a spreadsheet of all of his expenses, and I could see that Amiga 4000 in there and how much he paid for it at the time and when. It was really interesting to see just how that was, and I was impressed this drive worked. I'm betting it. I still think it was in a shed somewhere, baking in the sun. So I'm impressed it worked.
That is unbelievable. I know when we looked at it, it was like, yeah, this ain't gonna do anything. Dude, it's amazing how resilient this hardware is. Again, they didn't make that drive to last till 2025. They just did.
Right.
That wasn't even a concern, and it does.
No.
It is. It's totally beautiful. And I'm going to flip things up a little bit here because you had told me a little bit of that story when we were talking just sideline about the list of things and the pieces of the puzzle that were there, that retro archaeology. It made me do something new because I have been a very good budgeter within Google Sheets. Every month I kind of project what I think I'm going to do. Every month I reconcile what I did. I don't get into doing crazy pie charts and graphs. It's just that I put, you know what? I have this thing coming up. It's going to cost me, like, we have a trip together coming up in April. And I just dog-eared. I'm going to spend $300 on that trip is what I did. I just kind of I'm not on my airfare and all that. I'm talking about you and I just doing things and buying a dinner and, buying lunch. Some pieces of that puzzle. I think I'll do 300. And then when I come back from the trip, I look at what I really did. And it's not that I need to be under 3. It's just a budget, right? You kind of look at things. But I've been getting slack in the past 6 months. Really was. Before Christmas, I was slack. Before the new year, I was slack. And I said, I heard that little bit of a story and went, you know what? I got Fleet software. I got SwiftCalc software. How about I do my budgeting on the Commodore 64?
How is that?
So I booted up SwiftCalc and learned how to use it. Had a book.
Okay, good.
As you know. I learned how to save and load. I kept reconfirming, but I'm using all physical media, Ryan. I'm using the disk SwiftCalc. I'm using a disk I formatted, initialized for SwiftCalc data. And I'm actually switching disks and doing it. And I said, you know what? I love this. This is fun. I'm going to move it onto my Pi 1541. So I used my Copy Protector 2 program, and I made disk images of both of them to where now I use my 1541 to boot up SwiftCalc. I then change drive when I'm ready, and I load in the data drive, and I do my stuff. So April, I went and made April's, all my categories. I have a pretty simple budget, bro. I did all my categories, and then 90% of them, I know really what they are every month. I mean, it's water, it's mortgage, it's insurance. I just know what they're going to do, right? And then I have the variable ones, and then I made a name with a month, and I did all my yearly one-time items. And so I got a little more in depth than I've ever done before. And so, yeah, I tried to really get that all put in with all its values. And when April happens, I'm going to come back and reconcile and see where that's at and where to be better. But dude, it's fun because I'm using old stuff. And let me tell you, SwiftCalc was pretty darn cool for back in the day.
Just going to say, how does this work? Can you like sum columns just like you can in like Excel and do like math calculations and all that happableness?
It's like there's a delete command. And by the way, it came with the beautiful little bars that you tape above all above your keys on the top row. And then the little bar you tape beside your function keys on the right. So I added those to my keyboard. And yes, I can delete a cell. I can delete a range of cells. I can do mathematical functions. I can add rows, remove rows, add columns, I was like, holy smokes, this is truly all I do in Google Sheets. Everything I do in Google Sheets is completely accomplishable in SwiftCalc. Now, you can't go join the Excel Olympics with a version of SwiftCalc. You know what I mean? Right. People can do amazing things in Excel. This won't do that. People can do amazing things in Google Sheets. There's no lookup ranges and table arrays and blah, blah, blah. But it was one of the first programs that let you print sideways to where you could, you would print and then you would turn it sideways to see your budget in portrait, right? Or landscape.
Landscape.
Instead of everything being squished in portrait, you could print into landscape version. So
That's kind of cool.
I'm kind of amazed, Ryan, but your little story inspired me to get back on my budgeting tools and back on, because when you budget, folks, you save money. That's really all it is. And you're more conscious about what you spend. You keep more of your money, and so that's thanks for giving me a little kick in the butt. And I got to also do some retro stuff, and now every week I'm going to reconcile on Fridays on my Commodore 64.
That's pretty funny. I love it.
It's hilarious.
I thought it was great. I know I've looked at some of the spreadsheeting stuff on the Amiga side, and I was like, oh, there's sums in here. There's all your basic stuff's already built into that one. And that's why I was curious how much was actually built into the 64 version. And it sounds like enough to do quite a bit.
Yeah.
Your biggest limitation is you probably only have, 40K of usable RAM, or probably even less than that, because the program's got to run.
You are exactly right. They talk about saving after 4 functions. Like if you do 4 functions, you need to save to clear memory. And then you start doing more and you have to save to clear memory. And so they bring that up in the book about save early, save often. So
sure.
Yeah, that's funny. You nailed I can't believe you even thought of that, dude. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm doing memory management and some other on the Amiga side where I have way more than the 64, but I still have limitations where I might have a megabyte of RAM or maybe 8 megabytes, something which is, infinitely more than the 64, right? But still not like, I think there's 8 gig of RAM on my phone. So they're different orders of magnitude yet again. So just being able to do all that text and do all that's pretty impressive.
It's really impressive, dude. I'm pretty impressed with I didn't do many of those things when I was a kid on the C64, and I'm kind of impressed, bro. Kind of impressed. But I did make a column for spending money, and the column, one of them was called retro, and there is, I'm assuming, every month under $100, right? You know what I mean? I said, I just put that as a budget idea. There might be a month that it's 80. There might be a month that's 0, but I'll document how I'm doing against my idea of spending in retro.
Sure.
Dude, have you spent any money lately there, Ryan?
A little bit. I just put a order in for DigiKey, and that's like, for you go to Mauser because they're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I picked DigiKey because they actually had one of the chips I was looking for. So I ordered a whole bunch of capacitors for stuff like, I knew this 4000 needs recap. There's a 1200 coming, it's need recap. They got some 2000s that, they look terrible. They're probably going to need something recapped. And the Picasso card that you sent for the Amiga, which is a RTG, retargetable graphics.
Wow.
But it's missing the little subboard for the 4000.
Dude,
you would pop it out, and when you popped it out, it would go inside of like a 2000. And there was a 2000 with that collection, and then that board got lost.
Oh.
So someone created the board schematics and posted it. And from what I found out, it was a guy that actually worked for the company years ago that he did it.
Huh.
So those I've had boards being made. They are in transit as of us recording. And I ordered stuff from DigiKey based on his BOM of all the resistors, capacitors, the ICs. There's like 5 ICs on it, a couple really small ceramic capacitors that are like the tiny things. So those are all coming. They'll be here probably into the week. But it'll be a little bit till I get around to start assembling this and then trying to put it all together. Because when you pop this board out, then you got to go recable all the pins that were no longer connected. So we built another board that just slides on top of that, the main board and the sub board, and holds it together and makes all the traces and stuff for you. So it'll be very interesting. Oh yeah.
Amazing, Ryan. I got to jump in. You hear me say every other episode, I cannot believe what people can do for stuff that old.
Right.
Just
It looks like, yeah, looks like you did this like 5 years ago. That's the last time the GitHub repo was updated. But it's really, really cool. And I'm really hoping the Picasso card works based on me just sending, getting these boards made. I use JLPCB or JLC PCB. And I'm hoping all this stuff works. I just took a chance and I'm like, yeah, I didn't test anything. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work, it was, probably an $80 experiment between the parts and the boards being made. I don't know.
It does. I hope it does. We've had some offline conversations, dear listener and Larry, that it's like I have a feeling from listening to Ryan tell me about each one of these he's starting to dig through that we bought a collection of unfinished projects that either maybe got too costly for someone or maybe got out of their experience level to where it really feels like, and we're going to see there's still like 6 more things to do, right? But so far, they all seem to feel that they follow this pattern of, yeah, it's almost done. Or, oh, somebody did something here, but didn't finish something there.
Or it worked 20 years ago and it got put in the shed.
Yeah.
And who knows? Now, the other thing, which is a little more, I was just playing around. Remember at VCF East last year, we bought stickers. Do you remember those round stickers we bought of different things?
I don't, Ryan. I have no clue what you're even talking about. What is wrong with my brain?
VCF East last year had little, I don't know, in the front merch area, there was, you buy so many stickers and you know.
Yes, now I'm with you now. I'm with you now. As soon as you put me in the place, I saw myself talking to folks and picking those stickers up. Yes.
Yes. So I don't like just sticking stickers on things. I know you don't have a problem with that. I just don't like doing that. So what I did is, dear listener, you can't see this as a visual aid a little bit, but I printed out, these stickers are 75 millimeters across. So I printed out a 77 millimeter disc and put the stickers on it.
Oh, you made coasters.
No.
What are they? They look like coasters to me.
Yeah, but wait. Now they're 3 millimeters thick, and I had bought little magnets that are 6 millimeters by 2 millimeters high. I printed out a 3D insert for a board game.
Yeah.
So I built the disc, and on the back, I put little holes so I can glue the discs, the magnets into the disc, and then I can now place these somewhere. And I have these stickers with magnetic backs that I can now place.
You made fridge magnets.
I made fridge magnets.
How cool. Again, what a great time in the world that we live in, that you can literally just go, yeah, I'm going to print that. And I'm going to leave holes. And I'm going to get these little magnets. They're going to go right there. And I just, boom. You mean, that's beautiful, dude. That's a really cool idea.
I was going to go, we were out and about, and I was looking for like a magnetic sheet where you can put them on there and cut them out. And I'm like, wait, that's dumb. I have a 3D printer. I have filament. I bought these. I needed like 8 magnets. I think I don't know how many came in this box. 180? Yeah, 180 came in a box. I needed 8. So now I'm using 5 in each one of these little magnets. And then I have a metal shelf behind me, which you can't see here. You'll be able to see on, I know some of the YouTube stuff that we've done together remotely. You can see some of that in the background. These are going to go across that magnetic shelf because it's already metal, and they just stick on there, and then I get to go enjoy them. And it's all handmade stuff. So I said, "Hi, cool. Someone built cool stickers. Now how can I move them around, share them off, do whatever with them?" And that was pretty cool. That's just random thing.
That is a really neat surprise to me. We do this thing where sometimes we talk about things that are going to be happening, and sometimes we surprise each other with things. And that's a cool surprise one. That's a neat use of that idea. Because, I just stick stickers to fucking everything, bro. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, my laptop, slap. Oh, the back of my monitor, slap.
Right. I want to be able to move these around, or I just don't like putting stickers on things. That's how my brain's wired. So now I look at ways that I can put them on a thing that I can move around later, and that I don't ruin the sticker, or I can continue sharing it even if it's on something I no longer have. Now I still have the sticker.
Well, I wasn't that productive. As you know, I did a little SX64. I did a little bit of budgeting. Yeah. I did also, I guess my productivity aspect of actually getting something done was finish out that programming we talked about last episode. I have finished the book, Creating Your Own Text Adventure on the Commodore 64. So I'm fully a publisher now that I can own a software house. I can open my own software house now because I read the book.
Nice. How'd it go?
It went really okay. It actually was probably the best version of me entering and having a finished product almost that I've ever had. I think I talked about in the last episode, I'm definitely starting to see as I go to do this, and I'll say, oh, there has to be a data array somewhere that has all this in it. And then I get to the data array and I'm like, yeah, I figured that's what this is. This is all the naming. This is this. These are all the objects. And this one I got done with. And I had to make some corrective typos, right? I got my corrective typos finished, probably like 4 or 5. And then the program loaded and I couldn't get out of the first room. I'm like, holy shit, this is really hard. This is really, really hard. So I went to the web, went to the World Wide Web, and I found out this software was actually released in 1984, the city of Atlantis. And I'm going to throw this in the show notes. So if anybody wants to go download and try and get through room 1, you can tell me how to do it. But it was actually released. The Guild Adventure Software, Clive Gifford, Robert Young, they put this together. They released it. You're in Atlantis. You're trying to get they took you. You were down there scuba diving and you got
fun.
So now you're trying to get out of the city of Atlantis and get back out. And from typing in the code, that I know that there's a reactor room that you got to not let it blow up. There's this thing that you got to challenge. I can see it in the lines. But this first room, dude, I can't get out of. I even went and downloaded the City of Atlantis D64 and booted it up, and I still can't get out of the first room. So I have to figure out how to get out of the first room to test the rest of my code. But so far, I'm in the right track. I'm in the right track, and I'll play with that this week. I couldn't try and find a walkthrough for that. It's like impossible, bro, because there's another Steam game that's really close in name. And so it just floods your results, right? Oh, I need to do the no Steam, or I need to do no this. That's what I need to do, Ryan. Use my Boolean expressions.
You can do that. You can do no. I think you put a minus in front of Steam as well, and that'll subtract it out of your Google search.
But that was a lot of fun. And so I really felt productive, dude. I really didn't sit down and play any games, but I did play SwiftCalc, which isn't a game, but it kind of felt like I was playing a game. And I did my programming, so yeah, I felt good.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, I did actually get to play a game. I played a game I didn't know existed. I found it on that hard drive that I recovered.
No.
Yes. And then I did some research about it over this weekend. It's called Mega Ball AGA. You ever played Arkanoid from, is it Taito? T-A-I-T? Yeah, you get the little thing and you're bouncing up and hitting the colored blocks and little things will pop down and you get different abilities and things. This was a shareware version of something like that. And it's been updated a couple times throughout I was just like, wow, I've never seen this before. It's really, really cool. And the version that was on here is version 3. We're going to link version 4 in the show notes. The author has released it as open source. So there's a GitHub repo. It's actually not on GitHub. It's on Bitbucket. It's a Git repo on Bitbucket that has the source code. He said, it's a mess. It's all written in assembly for the most part. It's a mess to compile, but here's your source code. Good luck. And I looked at it briefly, but it was a neat shareware program, and he used it, did it for a couple years. I know up to version 3, version 4 had a commercial release, I believe. It's actually a lot of fun. I was playing it for about a half hour or so last night. It
I
was
think
really
those
neat.
are some of the best finds. Like when I get a collection with floppies and I
Hmm.
start digging through the floppies and you find those things that people downloaded that were being shared BBS to BBS, and you're like, never even knew this existed. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I was really impressed with it. Some of the things that come down give you abilities. Some of them screw with you. Some of them just kill you. So you got to know what the little symbol is that's fallen after you've broken a block with the. It's actually a lot of fun. So that was pretty good. I had a couple other games on there too. Sim Earth, which I've liked. I need
Oh,
to go back
wow.
and play that again. Yeah. Wings, which is an amazing World War I flight sim. Probably one of the best games that Cinemaware has done. There is a new version on Steam, but it has pretty much holds up to the original game. There's just new graphics, but the gameplay looks very similar to the original game. Because I didn't play the game, but I fell down in the rabbit hole and watching YouTube videos. Because I'm like, oh, cool, he has wings, and I really remember loving that one. And another game I have never tried, something called Valhalla, which I've never played. I tried to load it and it asked me for just type in the word on page whatever, and I'm like, I don't have the book, so I have no idea what it was. But
No, dear listener, you need to let us know what your game like that is. I'm telling you, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that you could stumble. That's really neat. You stumbled into such an obscure game that
yeah,
had this like really cool little history behind it too.
yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. So it was neat seeing what this guy played and what he did on his Amiga. It was pretty cool to see that. To your point, archaeology. And I
Yeah.
love seeing that when I get to collections. Like I love playing with the hardware. Don't get me wrong, but when I can get a collection of stuff and it has some discs or there's something on the hard drive, that's really cool to me. Because I really want to go see what was that guy thinking, or how are they using this, or what's their use case. So that was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what else shows up.
Well, Ryan, before we wrap up, I've got two things to add into our conversation, just points
Oh,
that
okay.
one, I went to Burnt Barbecue and Tacos today down in
Okay.
Plano. That was
Cool.
on our list in my brain whenever you were in last time for barbecue joints. I'm glad we didn't go. It
Oh,
has
really?
it really has one thing, which is like a pig belly burnt end that was pretty unique.
Yeah. Okay.
The brisket, eh, I could get it at a gas station. The pulled pork, they had some interesting things. They were also a Venezuelan restaurant, so I got empanada, and they had like a jalapeno coleslaw. But when you are back down, we will take a look at where we are. We may slip in just to try the burnt end pork belly, which was pretty unique, very tender. That was the star of the entire day. Everything else was just, I wouldn't buy any of that other stuff again. I would get the pork belly again, especially for showing it to someone. So
Yep.
I did a little run around with Sarah and we tried that, and it was where we were. Second, Usagi just released, I watched his latest video. He's going to be at VCF Southwest again.
Oh,
So
good.
that'll be fun. So I'll get to see his table and what he's doing here in June. I think it's coming up.
Yep.
So that'll be a fun little weekend that I can have with Usagi. And I'm sure Apic Guy will be. I'm sure all the Texas folks will be there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's your big event going on. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make that one. We're going to Origins. It's the same weekend, so I imagine I'll be sending you pictures of board games, and you're going to be sending me pictures of computers. It seems fair.
And that's all I got on my plate. What else you got to surprise me on this episode? Or are we telling everybody we love them goodbye?
I think we tell everybody we love them goodbye, and thanks for coming along with us. It's been a great time, a couple surprises, and we're making progress on our projects, but I don't know that we'll ever finish.
All right, bye, everyone.